I'm standing behind the counter of my diner for the final time. It's December 15th, 2022. After 43 years, Holloway's Diner is closing for good. The bank is coming tomorrow to collect the keys. I'm 68 years old, out of money, and saying goodbye to the last thing I have that connects me to my wife. Then 3 strangers walk in with a lawyer, and one of them says something that makes my heart stop. Mr. Holloway, do you remember the blizzard of 1992? Have you ever helped a stranger and wondered what became of them? Share your story in the comments below. It's 6 a.m. on a Thursday in December, the coldest day so far in Valentine, Nebraska, a small town on Highway 20, halfway between nowhere and nothing. The population has been shrinking for 20 years, ever since the meatpacking plants shut down and young people started leaving for Omaha, Denver, or anywhere with better prospects than a fading prairie town could offer. I've been awake since 4 a.m., just like I have been every morning for the past 43 years. Habits don't disappear just because a business is failing. I lay in bed for an hour in the apartment above the diner, the same apartment Joanne and I moved into in 1979 when we were 25, and naive enough to believe we could make a living selling eggs and coffee in rural Nebraska. It's the same bed where she died 3 years ago, holding my hand and telling me not to close the diner, not to quit. I quit anyway, slowly, month by month, bill by bill, until there was no other option. I unlock the front door of Holloway's, turn on the lights and pause to take it all in, the place I built with my own hands. Red vinyl booths line the windows, reupholstered twice, in 1991 and 2008, each time costing more. A long formica counter with chrome stools, some wobbling now because the welds are old and I can't afford repairs. A jukebox in the corner that hasn't worked since 2003, but I never threw it out because Joanne loved it. She used to play Patsy Cline while she waited tables. The walls are covered with photos, decades layered like a scrapbook. Birthdays, high school teams after championships, the Valentine High class of '89 after prom, packed into the back room in tuxes and oversized dresses. The annual pancake fundraiser we hosted for 35 straight years, 4 decades of community moments from the heart of this town. Above the register is a photo of me and Joanne on opening day. We're both 25, smiling in front of our new diner. She's in her pink waitress uniform with a white apron, her name stitched on the pocket, hair tied back. I'm in my cook's apron, thin back then, with a full head of brown hair that's now completely grey. We look like we believe we have all the time in the world, like nothing bad could touch us, like the diner would outlast us. 2 out of 3 wasn't bad. Joanne died in 2020, right before the pandemic. Pancreatic cancer, 4 months from diagnosis to the end. She spent her final weeks upstairs, looking down at the diner through the window. Customers would wave, and she'd wave back, even when she barely had the strength. 3 days before she passed, she whispered, "Promise me you'll keep it open. The diner is our legacy. It's what we built together." I promised. I tried. The pandemic broke us. We went takeout only for 18 months and lost 70% of our income, while expenses stayed the same. Rent, utilities, insurance, equipment. I took loans I couldn't handle, maxed out credit cards, applied for every program available. Some help came through. Most didn't. By 2021, I was underwater. By 2022, I was sinking. The foreclosure notice came in September, 90 days to fix the impossible. I tried to sell, but no one wanted a diner in a town like this. Valentine isn't a growth market. So this is it, December 15th, 2022. Tomorrow the bank takes over, and Holloway's becomes whatever chain they can unload it to. Probably a Dollar General. Everything seems to end up as one. I step behind the counter, tie on my apron, the same style as always, just 43 years more worn, and start the coffee. The old industrial machine Joanne and I bought used in 1982 groans to life. It's broken down dozens of times, and I fixed it every time because I refused to replace it. Soon the diner fills with the smell of coffee, rich and familiar, the same scent that's greeted mornings here since 1979. Outside, the sun rises over the plains, turning frozen grass gold and pink, shadows stretching across Highway 20. It's beautiful. It always has been. Joanne used to say the view mattered, even if the money didn't. It mattered, but not enough to cover $180,000. I crack eggs onto the grill, lay out bacon, make hash browns from scratch like I have for 43 years. It's all muscle memory, the rhythm of cooking that's been my routine and my way of thinking through life since I was younger than most of my customers' grandkids. This is the last time I'll make coffee here. The last time I'll cook on this grill. The last time I'll hear the bell above the door. The bell rings. Morning, Frank. It's Deputy Jimmy Scott, night shift, stopping in like he has every morning at 6:15 for 12 years. Morning, Jimmy. Usual. He nods, then pauses and takes off his hat. I'm real sorry about today. This place mattered. I thank him. He sits. I pour his coffee. We don't talk. In small towns, some losses don't need words. The regulars have been coming all week to say goodbye, sharing memories of first dates, wedding receptions, Sunday breakfasts that lasted decades. There's been a lot of crying, a lot of apologies. The morning rush, 8 people at most, comes and goes. The Hendersons, married 62 years, sit in their usual booth with their usual order and hold hands in silence. Pastor Williams leaves a tip he can't afford. The Choi family brings their kids and lets them order anything. Mr. Choi thanks me for welcoming them when they first arrived in town. By noon, only a few people remain. Teenagers skipping class for one last burger, farmers nursing coffee and complaining about the weather like always. I'm washing dishes in the back when the bell rings again. I call out and return to the front to find 4 people by the door, 3 in their 30s, well-dressed, and an older man in a suit with a briefcase. A lawyer, most likely. They don't fit here, too polished. I greet them, hand out menus, and they choose a booth by the window. The woman asks for coffee for everyone. I bring it over. They look at me with an expression I can't place. Not pity, not curiosity, something else. I try to make small talk. You folks passing through? Not exactly, one of the men says. He's younger, maybe 35, with dark hair and restless energy. We came here specifically to see you, Mr. Holloway. I blink. Do I know you? No, the woman says calmly. But we know you, or we did a long time ago. Mr. Holloway, do you remember December 1992? The blizzard? A family that broke down outside your diner? The room seems to tilt. December 1992, the blizzard. The family with 3 small kids. The Doyles, I whisper. Her eyes fill. Yes, I'm Ashley Doyle. This is my brother Jeremy and my brother Zach. You let us sleep here. You fed us. You gave our parents money to fix the car. You saved us. I have to sit. I pull a chair over because my legs won't hold me. You were just kids, I say. You were so small. I don't understand. How did you find me? She nods. Let us tell you about that night. And suddenly I'm back there, remembering the night that changed everything, even though I didn't know it then. It was December 23rd, 1992, 2 days before Christmas. Joanne and I had been running the diner for 13 years. We were 38, still hopeful, still trying to have kids, despite doctors saying it likely wouldn't happen. The blizzard hit around 4 p.m., not the gentle kind, but the dangerous kind. Winds knocked out power across counties. Snow was so thick you couldn't see 10 feet ahead. Temperatures dropped to 15 below, with wind chill near 30 below. The National Weather Service warned people to stay off the roads. This was life-threatening weather. I was supposed to close at 9, but by 6 the roads were impassable. Highway 20 was pure ice. The lot was buried under 2 feet of snow. The last customer left around 6:30, old Mr. Peterson, who insisted on walking home. He made it. After that, it was just me, Joanne, and the storm pressing against the windows. Around 7, Joanne said we should close. She was right. We lived upstairs then, still do. 28 steps up the back stairs. She used to joke she could be at work in under a minute. I timed her once, 47 seconds. We were cleaning, shutting down lights, when we heard it. A car engine sputter, cough, then die. We went to the window and saw it through the blowing snow. An old station wagon, hood smoking, doors opening, a man. A woman. 3 kids. 5 people, stranded in a blizzard. Oh no, Joanne said. I was already unlocking the door, stepping into wind that cut like knives. I shouted for them to get inside. The man carried the youngest child. Another boy clung to the mother's hand. The oldest girl walked between them, head down. They collapsed through the door, soaked and shaking. Joanne locked it behind them. The building rattled from the wind. The mother could barely speak. Joanne immediately checked for injuries. The man said they weren't hurt, just freezing. The kids were crying hard. I told them about the motel 2 miles away, then said the truth. They'd never make it in this weather. The mother broke down. We'll die if we stay in the car. Joanne didn't hesitate. They're staying here, she said, already moving. Frank, heaters, blankets. I'll make soup. They protested weakly, but the relief was clear. You're staying, she said firmly. That was Joanne. When something needed doing, she did it. We put them in the big back booth, the one with high sides to block drafts. I set up every space heater we had. Joanne brought every blanket, office spares, picnic blankets, even tablecloths. The kids were still shivering. She told the mother she had dry clothes upstairs. I ran up and grabbed sweatpants, shirts, socks. When I came back, Joanne was already helping the kids change, speaking softly to them. I gave the man dry clothes and pointed him to the kitchen to change. His voice broke when he thanked me. You're here now, I said. That's what matters. Joanne had already started a big pot of vegetable soup. I made grilled cheese, lots of them. When we brought the food out, the kids looked at it like a feast. They ate fast and quiet. The man introduced himself as Samuel Doyle. His wife was Tracy. The kids were Ashley, 9, Jeremy, 7, and Zach, 5. They were from Kansas City, driving to Rapid City for Christmas, planning to stop for the night, but pushing on because things had been going well. They thought they could push through, save the hotel money, and arrive earlier the next day. Then the storm hit. Tracy added quietly. They should have stopped sooner, should have found shelter, but by the time they realized how serious it was, they were already trapped in it. Then the car started making a terrible noise, smoke coming from the engine. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. We all understood how close they'd come. I asked what was wrong with the car. Samuel let out a dry laugh and said he had no idea. He was an accountant, good with taxes, not engines. They planned to have Tracy's father look at it in Rapid City. I told them I'd check it in the morning once the storm cleared. I wasn't a mechanic, but I knew enough to diagnose problems. Tracy admitted quietly they had no money for repairs. Everything they had went to Christmas gifts and gas. They planned to stay with her parents, not pay for hotels or breakdowns. They were broke until January. The shame in her voice was familiar. Joanne reached across the table, took her hand, and told her not to worry about tomorrow. For now they were safe and the kids were warm. That was what mattered. Zach, the youngest, looked at Joanne and asked if she was an angel. She laughed and said no, just someone trying to help. He insisted she seemed like one. We stayed up until nearly 2 a.m. The kids fell asleep first, bundled together under blankets in the booth. Samuel and Tracy eventually dozed off too. Joanne and I sat at the counter drinking coffee and listening to the storm. After a long pause, Joanne said we weren't charging them. I agreed. She added that I'd fix the car if I could and that we'd give them money. I reminded her we weren't well off. She said they had less, and it was Christmas. I looked at the family sleeping, then at my wife, and made a decision that felt right. I said we'd help however we could. She kissed me and said that was why she married me. The storm cleared around 5 a.m. I checked the car while they slept. The transmission was done. They'd need a tow and a mechanic, several $100 at least. I went back inside. Joanne was already making breakfast. The kids woke to food and sunlight on the snow. Zach called it a Christmas miracle. After breakfast, I told Samuel the truth. He said they couldn't afford repairs and might need to call Tracy's parents, assuming the banks were even open. I pulled $100 from my wallet and told him to take it to Joe's garage. He tried to refuse. I told him to consider it a Christmas gift and reminded him he had 3 kids who deserved to reach their grandparents. He asked how to pay me back. I told him not to. They left around noon on December 24th, 1992. Joe fixed the transmission for $200, charging half because I asked. Samuel tried to return the money. I refused and wished them a Merry Christmas. Tracy hugged Joanne and said they'd never forget it. The kids waved from the back window. Zach pressed his hand to the glass. That was the last time I saw them until today, December 15th, 2022. 30 years later, I ask again how they found me. Ashley explains it took years after their parents died in 2008. They found their father's journal. He wrote about that night, about me and Joanne, about trying to repay the money. He mailed a check in 1995, but it was returned. She pulls out the envelope with the uncashed check inside. Jeremy says their father kept trying and felt he owed a debt he could never repay. I tell them there was no debt. Zach says their father felt there was, and after their parents died, they inherited it. They promised to find me and repay it, but they were young and broke. They waited, worked, and built careers. Ashley became a surgeon. Jeremy went into commercial real estate. Zach became a corporate attorney. Once they could, they searched seriously. The man in the suit introduces himself as Leonard Coy, attorney for the Doyle Family Trust. It took 18 months, but they found me and learned about the diner and my situation. I ask what they want. Ashley says they're not just here to thank me, they're here to repay everything. Jeremy opens a folder and shows me the deed to Holloway's Diner. They bought it from the bank that morning, paid off the full $180,000. Ashley says they don't want the diner, they're giving it back to me, debt-free. Zach adds they've set aside $50,000 for operating costs and repairs. If I want to keep running it, I can. If I want to step back, that's fine too. The diner isn't closing. Leonard slides the papers over. All that's needed is my signature. I'm crying, 68 years old, sitting in the diner I thought I'd lost, overwhelmed by people who were never really strangers. I tell them I don't know if I can accept this. Yes, you can, Ashley says, repeating the same words I once said to her father 30 years earlier. You helped us when we needed it. Now we're helping you. That's how it works. Jeremy adds softly that Joanne was part of this too. They wish they could thank her. I tell them she would be happy. More than happy. They stay for 4 hours. We talk about everything. Their parents, Samuel and Tracy, never stopped talking about that night in the blizzard. It became a family story, something they passed down. They raised their children to believe in kindness, in helping strangers, in giving forward what they received. Ashley talks about medical school, becoming a surgeon, and the free clinic she volunteers at every week in Kansas City. Jeremy explains his real estate work, focusing on affordable housing and choosing people over maximum profit. He says his father always told them I could have charged for that night, for the food, the heat, all of it. But I didn't. That stayed with him. Zach, once the 5-year-old crying in his mother's arms, is now a corporate attorney who does pro bono work for struggling small businesses, people who built something with their own hands and just need a fair chance. They're good people. Their parents raised them well. I tell them Samuel and Tracy would be proud. Ashley says they were right until the end. By evening, the whole town knows. In a place like Valentine, news travels fast. Someone noticed the expensive cars. Someone saw me crying. By 6 o'clock, the diner is full. The Hendersons return. Pastor Williams, the Choi family, even customers I haven't seen in years show up. There's hugging, tears, and celebration. Mrs. Henderson grabs my hand and asks if I'm staying open. I tell her I am. The cheer that follows shakes the windows. Joe, the same mechanic who fixed the Doyle's car in 1992, walks in with his toolbox and says he'll fix whatever needs fixing, free of charge. Maria Lopez, who worked here 20 years ago, asks if she can come back. By 8 o'clock, I have a full staff, a growing repair list handled by locals, and reservations from people who want to support the diner. The Doyle siblings watch it all in disbelief. Ashley tells me I gave more than I knew that night, not just to them, but to this town, a centre, something worth saving. They stay in Valentine for 3 days. We eat together. They meet everyone. Before they leave, Ashley gives me an envelope and asks me to open it later. We hug, long, close hugs that feel like family. Jeremy thanks me for saving them. I tell him they saved me. After they leave, I open the envelope. Inside is a $100 check and a note dated 1995, written in Samuel's handwriting. He explains he tried 5 times to return the money, and maybe it was meant to stay with me until I needed it most. He thanks me for teaching his children that kindness matters, for giving them Christmas when they had nothing, and for restoring their faith in people. He hopes the diner is thriving, and that Joanne is still making the best pancakes in Nebraska. He says what I did mattered then, and it still matters now. I sit at the counter, my counter, debt-free, mine again, and cry. 6 months later, Holloway's Diner is thriving. We're busier than we've been in years. People drive from 3 counties away to eat here and be part of the story. I rehired my old staff and gave raises I can finally afford. The Doyle siblings visit every few months, and every morning when I unlock the door, turn on the lights and start the coffee, I look at the photo of Joanne and me from opening day and talk to her like she's still here. We made it, Joe. The diner is going to be okay. We're going to be okay. So let me ask you, what would you have done that night? Would you have helped? And what would you do if someone came back decades later to repay a kindness you barely remembered? Let me know in the comments. And if this story meant something to you, subscribe. Because kindness doesn't disappear. It waits for the right moment to come back.